tell my friends stand by me only if I'm right. I come out in triple darkness just to see the light. If I say it once, I guarantee I say it twice. If they want me, I ain't going out without a fight. In my dreams, I'm a killer, but for God, man. Try to play it cool, but it's getting hard, man. Rolling with the real and death to all the frauds, man. Not too many on me, yeah, it's kinda hard, man. In my room, sitting in my room. Know they waiting on me and I'm coming soon. Never been a sellout, never been a coon. Y'all be on the camera acting, I'ma show them how I true it.
You are God to the children until they know something different, because you're providing them food, clothing, shelter, the environment, all of what of what it is that it takes for them to to be. And so parenting to me is God's way of allowing us to operate from where He does of His creation. Now,
I remember the day when my oldest son was born, and they bring him out. After they clean him up and do the Apgar scores and all that, and you don't even know what the scores mean, right? He got a 2. He's like, well, is he good? And the first time they let you hold your child, I remember he was right here in my arm from my fingertip to here.
To the crease of your
I
arm.
could hold him right here. And at that time, as fathers, what do? We make promises. And we tell ourselves, man, I'm going to do this right.
Yeah.
The question is, when does it stop? When does the teaching stop? When does the guiding stop?
Never.
When does the advocating stop? And if it doesn't stop ever, how do we do it without ruining them and helping them defend and fight for themselves sometimes? How important is advocating for your children?
It's everything. As far as I'm concerned, like for real, it's paramount. Because one of the first things I wanted my fellas to know as they were growing up is that me and your mama got your back. If don't nobody in the world got your back, we got your back. And the reason that's important is because you don't want them to feel like they got to look outside of what we're doing in this household for support. Because sometimes, I don't want to say chauvinistic thing, but especially when you have young ladies, that's easily how they fall into the hands of a male that has bad intentions, because they're not getting the support and the validation that they need at home. So I always think we got to start with validation and affirming the young people that we have been chosen by God with the responsibility of rearing. We have to take that really, really seriously. And so from day one, from the moment you hold them in your arms, I remember when Darius was born, obviously I was really young at the time. I had 21, 22. And when he was born, I had a response that just totally shocked me. Like it was the first time in my life I burst into tears and I literally cried for joy.
Oh, wow.
Because I had never felt that kind of joy before. And I couldn't believe.
Have you ever felt it again?
No. None against cars.
Well, that's what I'm saying. None against your second child, right?
None against the second one.
But you can't relive that first experience.
Yeah, you can't relive the first experience. Yeah. And I had that moment, and I was totally shocked that I responded that way.
Yeah.
It was uncontrollable.
Wow.
It was uncontrollable. And in that moment, I realized, that was the first moment I had, I'm now living for somebody else.
It's the most powerful capability that you have is the father of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And we took it seriously. We as friends, because we've been together for so long, we all took that seriously.
You said something powerful. I want y'all to chime in on it. Marquis said we were chosen by God to bring them here.
Wow.
Right? So does that mindset or does that lens set the table for the type of advocating that's needed for you to know that, first of all, they really aren't yours. Are they yours, John?
Thank you.
Are they yours, John?
Hey, they mine, but we all God's children, right? So them here, I'm supposed to shepherd them and guide them. You know what I mean? And my first thought when we talk about that is being present. being there, you know, and like you said, just being completely grateful and overwhelmed, you know, when my son was born. And so that was my first thought as far as being advocating, knowing that you're going to be there. You're going to be the protector, the provider, guiding, you know what I mean? Nurturing as best we can as men, right?
Right.
And it was just phenomenal. And again, I think that's a lifelong thing. To what extent, as they get older, that's a whole nother conversation.
So what's the first, in terms of being an advocate? Now, I think the word advocate is important because we support our children in a lot of different ways, but advocation means there's a degree of intention around not just I'm supporting you, hey, you need some help. It's like I understand that my role in your development is important and there's a service I need to provide. What's the first type of advocation that we have to do with our young people? Like, or how do we begin? Joaquin, you mentioned in sort of terms of teaching them to be sort of self-advocates, important to affirm them, right? Yeah. What is it about teaching them to speak up for themselves, build for themselves is critical?
I remember one of the first times I'm thinking that I really was conscious of advocating for them is when they're little and they're sick and you go to the hospital. Okay. And they can't really articulate for themselves, but you know the cry, you know the sound of pain, you know the sound of hunger, you know the sound of discomfort. And now I know the sound of pain, and now I have to advocate for my child to this doctor. But as they get older and they're able to start to speak for themselves, now when we go to the doctor, I want to teach them, hey, make sure you got a question for the doctor when we get in here, so that they start to learn how to speak up and advocate for themselves and be ready, you know, to engage.
I think you need to say that again, because that's a powerful thing. So you taught them what now?
How to speak up and advocate for themselves when it came to someone in a position of authority.
No, I like when you said doctor, because that's
the doctor, right? Absolutely.
That's like the first scary, like this formal stranger, like
absolutely, because your health is paramount, and so you have to understand that. My mom used to always say, if doctors were right all the time, malpractice insurance wouldn't be so high. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they make a lot of mistakes. They make mistakes just like everyone else in their profession make mistakes. Me as a realtor, you as an insurance guy, you as an educator, you know what I mean? You as a contractor, we all make mistakes in our profession. And doctors are no different. And so it's very important that they learn how to advocate for themselves and their health when they're in that environment, and speak up for themselves and not shy away from, you know, what may have to be a little bit of a confrontation, you know? So that's why this is
the thing. So the word advocate is a word that is also used to describe attorneys, an advocate.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I was going to my joint.
Verb, right? You know, when you
one who defends or maintains a cause or proposal, one who supports or promotes the interests of a cause or group, one who pleads the cause of another. In this case, with the attorney piece, that's what you
plead the cause.
Yeah.
In what ways, Talik, did you have to be a lawyer on behalf of your son?
All the time. Still being a lawyer for him. I was just thinking about a couple of things when I wanted to really hit off of what Joaquin said was, and I get back to that. He knows the baby cry. In order to know the baby cry, you have to be present. You have to be in tune. You know, so I didn't want the audience to go over their head, because I don't want them to be questioning, how do you know a baby's cry? Well, you won't know a baby's cry if you're not present, if you're not in tune, if you're not interacting with the child on a consistent basis, on a daily basis. You won't know any of these things. And so I wanted to definitely put emphasis on that. But I'm always advocating for my son. And most of the time I'll teach him at home, you know, when he's going through certain situations, and then that way he could be able to demonstrate when he get in the out there in the field, or being a journalist. But one of those things just talking to them and building them up and letting them understand that that you have a voice and your voice need to be heard and you need to stand up for yourself. So those are some of the things that I teach him and give him the tools to use when he in the field.
And so when you look at that journey, then if we're advocating and we're talking broadly a lot about the philosophy of why it's important and some examples of why we do it, right? What are some of the important, let me know, I'm going to name one of them for me when I think about advocating for my children. First of all, you can't be, if we're parents, we can't be emotional when it comes to advocating our children.
Oh, but that's easier said than done right there.
We can't be emotional when it comes to teaching them.
Right.
We can be passionate within reason, because sometimes we use passion to describe anger.
And an emotion, yeah.
Right? But you know why? Because the biggest teacher is what they see. The biggest teacher is not them hearing us advocate, is them seeing our example.
Well, you said something about that one other episode.
Oh, I said more things are caught than taught.
Yes. Yeah.
More things are caught
than taught.
Yeah. You know, children don't listen to what they say. They do what they see. They don't do what you say. They do what they see you do. So when you're teaching them to advocate, and I have to watch myself because I can advocate very strongly to people if I feel there's an injustice, right? Mm-hmm. But if I don't model for them the measured advocation, the being smart in the conversation,
right,
the being calm, right,
right,
the being strong but not over the top.
And you know where most parents mess up at that, and is the school.
Yeah,
when their children, you know what I mean, when they're trying to defend them for what they're doing in school, whether it's usually it's a negative thing, whereas they've been, you know, the teacher has called you in or during the teacher conference or something like that, and everybody wants to, you know, make it seem as if their child is an angel. You know what I mean? And
we don't do that in our house.
Yeah, yes, right. So that's where we are quick, and it's very easy for us to fall into that.
So what happens then? What happens just to everybody when a parent goes into the school and let's just say in this case, the child was wrong. In this case, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the parent goes in and advocates for the child and does what you said. I like the fact that you said defend.
Right.
Because parents come to school on defense time before they even find out what happened.
What happened, right.
Because ultimately I feel they think it's a reflection of them. So it's not even about you telling me what happened. It's like, oh, it's going to look bad on me, so I'm going to come in here in this particular stance and basically bully them into not telling me.
I know my child.
Bullying me into not telling the truth about telling me the truth about my child.
When you're
go ahead.
Yeah, when you're advocating for your child, you're still holding them accountable. You know,
you should.
You should. Right.
So it's not either one or the other, right? I'm gonna still advocate for you. I always got your back. However, if you mess up, you're gonna have to take your licks, whatever they may be, right? Now I'm gonna still be there to make sure you being treated fairly and no injustice is being done, right?
And with respect.
But it's no different from crawling and falling down. I'm gonna let you fall down.
But I'm getting at something.
I'm not gonna let you hurt yourself.
Let me say this real quick. But I'm getting at the mentality of the adult.
That's what I'm about to say. That's what I want to say. Think about you got to think about the experiences the adult bringing into that environment.
Yeah.
Now, if they had some experiences like we had where we received a whole lot of injustice in school, they ain't trusting nothing these teachers talking about.
Right.
Because I know how I was treated.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Miss So-and-so treated me like this, Mr. So-and-so treated me like that.
Right.
I know them teachers can lie on you because they lied on me. So now when they walk into the building, they got a whole new attitude. They not coming with that, okay, let me hear what happened. No.
So that's not advocating.
Right. Exactly. That's the point.
Right.
So I'm just trying to explain the mindset that comes into the building when they respond the way you're talking about.
Right.
When they respond that way. And so
what would you say to the parent then? What are you saying to them? So we telling them what they need to do. Right?
Try not
We're
to-
giving this a guy. So how do they stop that? What are we telling them to think of? You got to call Corey slap Marvin at recess.
First thing
And
I'm
I call
say,
you, and I'm saying, hey, Joaquin, man, they call me, talking about Corey smack Marvin every recess. Wait till I get down there.
well,
I'm going to advocate for him. What you gonna tell me? I'm your friend.
well, the first thing I'm gonna say is make sure you don't take your trauma into that environment.
Right.
You
I
gonna tell
thought
me
you
not
said
to take
you
my
smack.
trauma?
Did
I'm gonna
smack
tell you.
Marvin?
I'm
Bro,
gonna
you
tell
tell
you.
me just like that though?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
Corey, don't
I'm-
take your trauma.
I wouldn't have said that years ago. I would say that now.
Then I'd be like,
I'm
what
gonna say,
trauma you trying to say I got?
yeah. I'm gonna say
I got you.
don't
I
take
got
your
you.
baggage
I
and your
got you.
trauma
I'm
into
with
that environment. And I do know that when emotions are high, logic is low. And so the first thing I'm
When
gonna say,
emotions are high, logic is what?
low. Emotions are high, logic is low. So if somebody smack my boy, I'm gonna be emotional about that. The person gonna be emotional about
You
that.
gonna be ready to fight the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm always gonna say to my son, hey, what'd you do to make him smack you? I'm gonna ask him that question.
Yes, right.
He ain't just walk up and pop. You know what I mean? Like what happened? What transpired? I need play by play
He
from
might
the
have.
origins of this.
The parents
Now-
we're
He
talking
might
about,
have.
let me tell you how they come to the school. Let me tell you exactly how they come to the school. They come to the school. How you doing, Mr. Wynn? Let's act. How you doing, Mr. Wynn?
I'm good. How are
Great.
you?
I'm doing well. Got you up here. Sorry to have to call you to come off of your job. I know it's very important. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. As it's because we had an incident with Darius. He smacked James. We still trying to figure out what happened. Apparently, James didn't do anything from what we can understand, and he smacked him. You know, so we basically he's gonna have to get a couple of days of in-school suspension, and we'd appreciate if you could teach him the importance keeping his hands off people.
Oh wow, that was insulting. That last line. You know, that was real insulting because
How
you
so?
questioning how I teach and raise my children. But at the same time, I'll let that slide. So what I'm gonna say is,
Hold on. Is that what you would tell the administrator?
oh yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Okay, let me
Absolutely.
stop you, Mr. Wynn.
Uh-huh.
What I was, and I really do, want this to be a partnership. As you know, we're a partner with you.
Absolutely.
In terms of your child. But I just wanted to clarify so we can have a good energy in the space right here. We both have the interest of making sure everyone's safe.
Okay.
Is what I was doing, I wasn't making a judgment. I was reiterating in some ways you could support us with this particular act that happened today.
All right. Well, the first thing I'm gonna want to know is who witnessed this. All right, and whoever told you about it, I need to speak with them.
Well,
'Cause
but
I'm
hold
sure
on,
you
but
wasn't
back
there.
up real quick, because
Okay, all right.
when you talking about you was insulted, and the daggone hood would come out of me as the administrator. Well, nigga, if you was on point of it, your boy wouldn't be smacking nobody if you
That's
was
why
all
you're
on
not
top of it.
administrator, bro.
Emotions went high.
Your boy wouldn't have
You
been,
be
been
administrator
smacking
for one
nobody if
day.
you was all on point with your
Well,
parents.
let me say this. I am not above telling my son he need to smack somebody. All right, so that's the first premise. You know what I mean? My son may have needed to smack him, and he may need to go home for 2-3 days. And I'm perfectly okay with the punishment if he was defending himself and this is what happened. I understand it's the administration and the teachers responsible to keep order and peace.
Right.
There is not their responsibility to maintain justice. So my son has a responsibility to assert justice where he feels justice needs to be asserted. That's his responsibility. And whatever consequences come with that, he got to be willing to take. And I'm going to stand behind him if he's right and he's principled in defending himself in the
me
right
ask you
way.
this.
I'm behind
When
you.
we were role
But if he
playing-
wrong, I can't
When
rock
we were
with it.
role playing, were you serious? Like, were you seriously like insulted?
Yes.
Or you was playing the role of the bad parent?
I'm playing the role of the bad
Okay,
parent.
I got
but
you.
that line would have insulted me if I'm
Okay.
a bad parent.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that line would have been insulting me
so-
because when you tell me what I need to teach at home, I'm being insulted.
See, we need to talk about that.
Mhm.
That's the emotional piece I'm talking about. Like, so if I said in the classroom, so I'd appreciate he didn't do his homework if you could help him reinforce those math problems.
That's different.
No, it's not.
Yes,
it's
it
different
is.
because you feel judged by his
Language.
behavior.
Your language judges me.
What
The
was my
word
language?
you look,
I
you
use the same
when you
language.
say you need to teach
Did
him.
I say you need, or did I say
That's
we
what
would
I heard.
appreciate?
You talking about at
Now you
the
say
first
you
time.
need.
The
Okay,
first time.
I said
like-
you need to.
Yeah, you need to teach him not to put his hands
I
on
I wanna
you.
run that tape back.
I know, right?
Oh,
'Cause
I
I was
think you
playing
might
a
have
real
said,
principal, and
yeah,
I
might
been one, and I
appreciate
wouldn't talk like that. I want to run the tape back.
No, I think
He's gonna have to get a couple of days of in-school suspension, and we'd appreciate if you could teach him the importance keeping his hands off people.
No, I think you did say I would appreciate, but he
I
may
said
have,
I would.
he
That's
may
how
have interpreted.
his
He may have heard it
emotional
as
state
he may have
makes
heard
him
it
hear
as
aggression.
you
is
need.
what I'm saying.
He may have heard it as
Yes.
you need.
I would
when you might have
So I'm
appreciate.
telling the
You
parents,
said I would appreciate.
you need to come in there and check your emotional state, because the what really happened wasn't what you said, because you said I would want to know what he did. You were right. This is what the parents do. What somebody do to him?
right.
Because somebody must have did something to him
Yeah,
if he smacked him.
yeah, right.
Game lost right there. If your child is right there, you ruined their ability to handle conflict as an adult. You negatively impacted it. You didn't ruin it. Because as an adult, when I get in those spaces and I have to advocate for myself, I'm going to be advocating off of bad logic, to your point.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
And so that's why we gotta.
So they got to see us model
You gotta
advocation
be
in a
listening.
respectful- Yeah.
You gotta be listening.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the first thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We sometimes what's said we don't hear. You know,
Through
and that just
line
happened.
the through line is, so far, our connection is be present. If you want to be a good advocate as a parent to your child, you got to be present to the point that you know the nuances of their emotional state, their behavior, and their actions.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
got to be in tune with the nuances. 2, check your emotions at the door.
Rise
That's
above
2
emotion.
things. We
Until
gotta
thinking of God, brother.
check our emotions at the door. And 3, what's the importance of finding out what happened before you make a judgment about the point we want to make to whoever we're advocating with.
I want to find out what happened because I want to give sound advice. You know, I'm a firm believer. If you say to somebody, "Hey man, you think I should buy the black SUV or the white sedan?" and they just say, "You should get the black SUV."
Mm-hmm.
I immediately know not to listen to that person.
Mm-hmm.
They're not
You
asking me.
you used this on one other time. too,
Yeah,
I think. I
it's
remember you
real
saying
because they
that.
haven't asked me anything. So how could you really help me if you're not asked, "Hey man, what are you thinking about buying this vehicle for?" So it's the same thing when I go into this environment with my son. I need to know everything that happened from start to finish, play by play. Who saw it, who witnessed it, everything. Because we all know people might try to manipulate it and leave
absolutely.
out, you know, I won't say lie, but lie through omission is what a lot of times young people do.
Right.
And so we got to make sure that, like, yo, who saw this? Who was around? What happened? Tell me exactly what happened, what he said, what you said. Now I can make some assessments about how I'm going to handle it with
But
my son.
realistically, you ain't gonna get all that problem. You
But
know what
no,
I'm
this is what I want parents to
No,
know.
I'm going to get all
No,
that.
you are.
No, I'm saying-
This
get
is
all
what I
that.
want
No, I'm
parents
saying
to
that
know.
I don't think teachers and all of that gonna have all
Not
that
the teacher.
information.
If I'm
though.
a parent,
I don't think
the
they're gonna have all that
parent-
info.
the whole reason-
You need to bring
the whole
the
reason-
teacher in here
No,
that
listen.
sent him to you.
No,
I
listen.
need to talk to her.
Listen, the whole point about school,
But
for
that's
parents
good, though,
is,
too. I like
when
that
it comes to
strategy.
discipline, is children are by law guaranteed due process. Due process means an investigation has to occur. It's not like the streets where you have to be suspicious beyond a reasonable doubt. It's in education is reasonable suspicion. It's not. I'm not guilty beyond a reasonable. But what is it when they can just search your car because they what is it? When they get suspicious. What do they call it?
Probable cause.
They have probable cause. In education, the standard is a little more,
A little less.
than
Okay.
probable cause.
Reasonable
right?
suspicion.
Reasonable, I think it's reasonable
As opposed to
suspicion.
probable
Right.
cause.
And so, but they also have to investigate with both parties, report to you, find out from the adults, document it, write it, get statements, and report to you what happened. That's what has to happen. I'm talking about if you go in the principal's office, they call
Yeah.
you. Not with a teacher issue, but the teacher's still supposed to tell you what happened. So you have that right to get the story
Right.
unabated. What's the statement? What did the other students say? How many teacher statements did you get? You can ask those just
Yeah.
very calm questions to find out if the investigation was a good one, or does your advocation need to change to, okay, we need to talk to somebody else that can do something about this.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing I'm going to want is my son present. Because when that teacher says something that you disagree with, don't come home and tell me, oh, she said that ain't what happened. No. I need you mature enough to speak up and politely challenge whatever you disagree with right now in this moment.
Yeah.
You need to let me know so I can hear what happened. If what she's saying is not what you think happened, you need to let me know. And we all know, man, we got two.
Right then and there, right?
Right then and there, because I want you to understand I'm going to advocate for, but you can't do it all in a crazy manner. Right. You gotta know how to talk to people and speak to people and do it in the right way. It's always okay to challenge authority if it's done properly.
I learned this as a child, right? And I still, me and Ward, we can check with Ward Plummer about this, but I was told they created a category on the referral in our high school for us.
Which
the
was?
category was called argumentative.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I ain't disrespect nobody.
But I'm challenged.
Because I learned
Because you
that
was
with
challenging.
respect, I can challenge. I can tell you, the teacher, I don't like you, and because of that, I don't trust you. And you can do whatever you want,
calm,
right?
assertive energy.
Calm, assertive energy, right? And so you can, I learned to advocate for myself using that type of tact early, right? Let me tell you a story how it morphed into my son.
I may even remember a time too when you was witnessing your challenging a teacher.
At one point.
And that is funny that they actually created
It's argumentative. You're argumentative.
Just because you didn't just fold and settle.
Capitulate.
Bro, they created, they make laws for us, bro.
Yeah.
But look, this is a story. So Jeremiah was in the 10th grade. It was his 10th grade English class. Mind you, I'm a former English teacher, do work in curriculum now, former principal, all this. He having problems with the teacher in the grades. I saw her grade in the paper, and I knew she was messing around. So we go in there, and she makes her statement and tells what happened, and I'm asking questions, and he raised his hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, so you're saying that when you give us papers back, they all have feedback on them that's written like you just said? She said, yeah. Mm-hmm. Then she said, they went on. Then it was something else. He said, so you saying you never do, or this never happen. How about he proceeds to pull a grade out with no writing on it, with paper with no writing on it?
Right, with no feedback. Right.
He quietly, I came in ready to deal with her. I came in and I sat back.
Say handling her.
When he was finished, guess what I said?
What?
To the administrator that was in there.
What?
I said, she can go back to class because I need to talk to you. It's over.
Yeah.
Right? So she was exposed for being, sloppy as a teacher, all of that, and for lying in front of the administrator.
Yeah.
And he was self-confident enough to speak up. I was present, right? And when I talked to the administrator, I was like, what are you going to do about this?
Yeah.
Have you observed her?
Yeah.
Have you been in her classroom and visited? Can I come observe her?
Yeah.
Because this isn't good, right? I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Carter, I got it. Give me a chance.
That's what he said.
Give me a chance. 2 weeks later, everything was good. They was getting papers back on time. And she ended up doing something to another student that was like, she was tripping again, right? Another student said, man, can you call your dad to come back up here?
Peace and blessings to all of our businesses who are interested in advertising. We have great affordable rates. And if you'd like to advertise on our B2M Crew podcast, please reach out to us at b2mcrew5@gmail.com.
But my point is, he had been empowered in a way that we were talking about to advocate for himself.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And then what I had to tell him was, and when you go back in there,
yeah,
there is no gloating.
Right.
It's
you go in there with some humility.
What you gotta do. You know what I'm saying?
Go in there with some humility.
Yeah. So when you teach them, they can become that young.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to worry about, are they gonna get taken advantage of at the store?
Right.
When the price isn't right and they're a little afraid to speak up.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
What do we tell them about, Talik, dealing with adults that you may be afraid of or respect because of their position? How do you help them be confident when they're dealing with them to advocate for themselves?
I think it also starts at home when when you're having the situations and you know, you dealing with your parents. You know, you might have a situation with your mother. You might have a situation with me. And I think going back and forth, you know, knowing how to handle yourself when you're not happy with what mom said and you come to me and talk. And I will walk him through, you know, this is how you interact and be respectful. And then she would do the same as vice versa. And so when you able to advocate and speak with your parents, then when you outside of these walls and some of those things occur, then you can start using some of these same tools that you learned in the house. And so those are some of the things that I helped them maneuver with. I remember one situation that really got me heated over at the private school when he was over there. You know, the principal called and was saying that Tariq stole some napkins. And I was heated.
Wow.
And I asked her.
Is it any charge that's below a misdemeanor? Because it seems like napkins.
I say,
Even
I
below
say,
a misdemeanor.
I thought the napkins was free.
Boy, I was so hot. I was like, here I am spending all this money. Over here, you gonna tell me my son's stealing? First of all, my son ain't ever stole nothing. Second of all, please tell me how much the napkins cost. You know.
That's not the point, Mr. Wynn.
Yeah.
It's the principle of it.
You know, and I was so hot, you know, and I basically told my son and told, you know, and was explaining to him that this is some BS here, you know. And she really was rubbing so many parents the wrong way, the principal. I would say at least 40% of the kids left, you know, just because of how disrespectful. Even the teachers was leaving.
Somebody stealing toilet paper.
Yeah, it was so ridiculous. But yeah, so I was like, man, somebody like her is unreasonable, son. You know.
And teaching parents about supporting this advocacy piece. We said, what was the first thing I pointed out? We talked about
being present.
Being present.
Check your emotions at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Then this last point we're making is about teach them to be self-confident or to be confident, and they're advocating for themselves, right? And they see you do that too, because sometimes you could be with your children and you could be with somebody that's an authority figure in front of you, and they see you dealing with it. Oh, let me go talk to him.
Yeah.
I got it. You understand what I'm saying? You got it.
Yeah, I my son was in a car accident a couple of days ago, yesterday, etc. He all well, he good. Oh, but however, he called me, and he was extremely upset on the phone, and he wanted to know what should he do in this situation, and it was on the interstate, and I told him, make sure you stay in the car. You know, don't get out the car looking at your car and all that stuff, because, you know, it's wet outside. Somebody else might slide into you, etc. And also, I told him once the officer get there, you know, if you're not hurt or whatever, then you need to get out the car and make sure you get pictures and take pictures of everything that's going on. That way, you know, you will be prepared for whatever's next. And then I just kept going over everything with them. And I like to say, you know, based on all those emotions that was going on, I think he handled himself pretty well.
Oh, good.
Overall,
yeah.
Very proud of him.
Yeah.
And,
hey, that's
those real things.
Is not a small thing to handle for the first time.
Yeah, well, that's not his first, but no. Like,
you did tell us a story about another small little incident shortly after you driving.
Yeah, but it's been about 8 years,
Yeah.
so 7, 8. He got some little time. I don't know how many years, but he got some time in between.
What do they need besides those other things we talked about, man? The confidence and all of this.
Let me ask you this: what role does allowing your child to fail or fall, right? What role? What's the balance between being an advocate versus being a helicopter dad?
What'd you think?
Can you use another word instead of helicopter?
Yeah.
That is helicopter. That is.
Yeah.
That is.
Overbearing to the point where they can't make mistakes. Allowing them.
I think it should be a 50-50 balance.
Yeah.
I think
I need to let you fall half the time. and I need to support you and push you up half the time.
I think
I
it
don't know if
based.
that's a number, but
I think it's based
a
on the
lot.
situation. I mean, just like one of the previous episodes, you know, if for any reason your kid going to court and you telling them, hey, you know, you need to dress like this, you need to look presentable and stuff like that. That's not the time to be like, you know what, you hard headed, Gene, you don't want to go get you some slacks or a dress shirt, and you think you know it. Go ahead. I don't think that's the time for that. But in other situations, you know, if they don't want to take a coat outside, you know what I mean? Well, you know what, freeze. He'll learn. Something like that. You know, I don't know if that's a good analogy, but you know.
If you think
I have
about,
to ask Joaquin, is it good?
That was good.
Okay, because you'll be like, man, that's some crap.
as difficult as it may be, if you're not, you know, studying, whether it's scriptures or whatnot, and having some type of value system. But I've sometimes thought of parenthood being God's way of allowing us to experience where He is. You know what I mean? Whereas if you look at it, you are God to the children until they know something different, because you're providing them food, clothing, shelter, the environment, all of what, you know, of what it is that it takes for them to, you know, to be. And so parenting to me is God's way of allowing us to operate from where He does of His creation. Now, we did
teach on that black man.
We did cover a little bit of it earlier on, where they're not ours. However, He does allow us again to be in a position to say, hey, this is, you know, try this out. And basically kind of saying, this is how it is for me. Can you do this? Can you treat your child like I treat you, with certain mercy, with certain, you know.
But God inflicts pain.
But for real,
He
allows pain.
Oh, there you go. I was about there's willful, and then there's permissive. There's permissive will. I'm sorry, permissive will, and what's the other one? No way, bro. Permissive will and active will. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's why, you know, you kind of mentioned we are all God's children, but that is why I don't like to say my kids, because I see them as God's children that I've been entrusted to rear. And if you think about it like that, man, ain't nothing more upsetting to me than to hear some ignorant parent talking, they're my kids, they mine, and they got all kinds of stupid advice and terrible information. That just frustrates me beyond comprehension. They mine almost as if they're property to be owned, and because they property to be owned, I can do with them what I want to do with them. Bro, that upsets me beyond comprehension. You would never think of God's children that way. And if you understood that those were God's children, you would handle them with a different level of care. Right. When you're taking, and you would understand the magnitude of the responsibility that you've been entrusted to carry, and you wouldn't operate that way, you know. And
you shouldn't.
And you shouldn't if you understood who they were.
Right.
If you understood who they were and whose they were.
Come on.
If you understood that, you wouldn't operate like that.
Hey. And we know this is not a religious podcast, but make no mistake, you're dealing with some brothers that love faith and truth.
Right, there you go.
Right? And if you want to talk about that from that level, that's the level where we talking about with advocacy. That's what I want to get to. That's what advocacy is. Advocacy is being God-like in the life of that child. Right. Advocacy is understanding that He's beneficent and merciful, that He's the forgiving, the caring, the sustainer.
Mercy. Right. Come on now.
Right? All of those things. But He's also the destroyer. And He brings the balance. And if you need to be checked, you can get it.
Right.
Right? You can feel
Right.
it. And sometimes he allows us to feel it to try to tap us back into the right lane.
Right.
And sometimes you can get it a lot if
Yeah.
you don't respond. And so with our children, if we're talking about stuff like these incidents in school, yeah, I gotta have the comprehensive knowledge like God got.
Yeah.
I gotta know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then I can govern with justice.
Right.
You
exactly.
see, you see what I'm
exactly.
saying? And it might be, because my most important job isn't to get you out of this situation. My most important job is to develop you into the type of individual whose wisdom can help them avoid these situations.
Right.
And sometimes it might mean you gotta suffer.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna let
And
you
set
feel
in
the
it.
pain of that. And sometimes you suffered already.
Absolutely.
Because and that's what the God does.
Right?
And allows us to do. Yes,
Only
sir.
he has the power to let us escape.
Right.
Yeah.
Give us mercy.
I
So-
remember one other time when I think it was John who said it. You know, sometimes when they commit their biggest transgression, it's when you show them the most mercy.
Be liberal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because that's your moment to say, hey, you know what I mean? I still got your back.
You know why? Because I'm not emotional and I don't feel good because you learned your lesson.
Right.
I'm going to teach you a lesson. That's going to make me feel good because you ain't listened to me earlier.
Right.
If I feel with you, I understand your pain and what you need right now. Right now, you got to heal, and then I'm going to talk to you because the lesson is inherent in your pain in a lot of situations.
Absolutely.
You know, so our advocacy got to be on that community, our ancestral, spiritual love level like that, man. And so we look like a fool going to school, arguing with those people and wanting them to believe some image about us when our children are wrong. When I want to know from y'all this, what's the price we pay when we advocate for children that are wrong, right? What price do we end up paying? And it's not complicated. I know-
Oh, they going to penitentiary. They going to
There you go.
penitentiary.
yeah,
They going to
yeah,
penitentiary.
yeah,
Or burying them early,
yeah,
for
right.
sure.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
and so the other component to that is, you know, we a lot of this conversation has centered around school.
Mhm.
But let's take it a step further. Now,
Yeah.
let's just we all have adult children now.
Mhm.
Right.
You know what I mean? How do we advocate and support for them? I was just having a conversation with my wife just yesterday, and she has a business, and my younger son has a business. The oldest son has a business. Everybody got a business, and so I was saying to her that I was doing something I was going to the post office for her to drop off some packages, and she was like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much." And I was like, "Yo, this is how we support each other.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what we do. I help you wrap these packages. I deliver them to the post. That's how I support you. When Corey is buying a new system for his gaming business and we got to drive to Front Royal to get it, I'm going to get in the car and ride with him and go get that. When Darius is buying a new car in Virginia Beach, I'm going to get in the car and go with him to pick it up. Like, this is how we support them as adults.
What if somebody
This
said
how-
to you, Joaquin, you spoiling those kids, man? Let them learn how to do that stuff on their own.
Well, see, when they're in pursuit of their dream and their passion, I'm going to be there to support them. The same way I took them to AAU practice, the same way I took them to Pop Warner practice, okay, and participated in that, the same way I showed up at teacher conferences and stuff like that, you know, but now that they're adults, they still need someone to do that. If they're being irresponsible and neglectful, and I'm doing all these things, and now, no, Darius not going to get the car. I'm going to get the car, and I'm finding somebody to ride with me because he ain't got time. You know what I mean? Or Tracy ain't doing what she's supposed to be doing or should be doing for her business,
you gotta do
and
it.
I'm doing everything.
That's not the case.
That's not the case.
advocating.
Right. That's not advocating.
That's enabling.
Right, exactly. So we're
Yeah.
not enablers here. We
Yeah.
are supporters. And this is how we support. Now, here's a good example of what could look like enabling. Because my son, youngest son, is a professional gamer. Now, I know it's tournament time. I know they're in heated matches or whatever's going on. And I take him a plate of food to his room. Like when he was, you know, younger or whatever. Like, somebody like, man, you taking him food?
don't know if I'm gonna be able to
But-
hold off on
But that's what I'm saying. So like, yo, I understand. Like, I'm not the parent. Like, well, he's a professional now. Like, if he was an amateur,
Why can't-
parents go in there and unplug the game and do all kind of stuff. But I'm not gonna do that because I understand he has a
can't take some
team.
screen break, man, and go get nothing to eat, man, downstairs.
No, it don't work like that.
Now,
He
now
can't
when you
step
understand
away.
it at that level.
Yeah, he can't really step away
They're
to
being
do
assistant.
that.
of support, brother.
You
Yeah.
gotta eat, bro. You can't play if you don't eat, bro.
No, bro, he has gone like I've watched him in his dedication and commitment to his craft. I've watched him stay awake 72 straight hours
God, dog.
playing in preparation.
Let me tell you why I was asking those dumb questions I was asking.
He said dumb question.
Because as a people, we've been in the position of being in servitude so much, we attach negative connotations to servitude in a lot of ways. Facts. We attach negative connotations and servitudes in situations where there's some sisters that say, you know, I ain't waiting on no man. I'm not hating. I'm just being honest.
I ain't fixing his plate.
Yeah, it's like a negative connotation to being nice and all of these things for people, right? And so my point about that, and I don't want to just use that example. That's because I'm gonna get beat up on that one. The other example is we just attach anything we do for people, like on the street as men. Why he asked me to do that, man? I ain't no punk, man. I mean, you know, like, go do it yourself. Like, we can't even be cordial.
Right.
No, I was on the phone with my wife earlier, right? And she was like, "How was y'all trip down?" I said, "I was tired." I said, my back kept itching in a certain spot." And she was like, "Well, why you didn't get
John to scratch it?"
Corey to scratch it.
Look at John like,
I'm not asking Corey to scratch my back.
You might as well you rubbed your feet on me that one time.
Man, I was asleep, man.
I might as well.
John say, huh?
You scratched my leg.
Yeah, what?
I sure did. Didn't I?
Yeah.
I said, man,
But
I was
we can't
reaching.
even. Hey man, can you scratch my back?
Yeah, right.
We can't even just scratch each other's back. With like, man, what was it? All right. So that's true. Though.
I digress.
No, but that is true. Go ahead, bro.
Nah, I was listening to Why, and he was talking about how he support, his sons and family and stuff, and I do the same thing as well. My son and wife, they run their own thing, they do their own thing, and when I go around, my wife have to go to houses, and they, some of them be vacant and stuff like that. So I gotta go just for security reasons, cause you don't know if somebody in the
security?
house.
Yeah, squatter or something.
You
or something
security?
crazy.
Yeah, man. I know how to poke my chest out. You know what I mean? I know how to take off running too. No, but and then my son, a lot of times, he have to drive up to Tennessee, Chattanooga to film Fatal Attraction, or for my man and stuff like that. And he done worked all day at iHeart. And I don't want him to be taking off and driving. You got 3 hours up there, 3 hours back, plus you done worked all day. Like, I don't want him to be so energized, but then next thing you know, you find yourself and fell asleep on that road. So, so when I'm available, I will go with him. Now, there's been plenty of times he done went by himself and stuff like that.
That's what I was about to say, because some of our audience or whatever, they may not be in the position that you all have been, but as you say just now, and which most important and critical is when you're available.
Do what you can do, and then
and that's what I'm trying to let parents or whomever know too. If you're available, do so. And what's missing from that though, I don't think this is taken to full account of is the memories that's being established.
Yeah,
from
the bond.
and that bond, like you said, even beyond the toddler, adolescent years into adulthood, because they still need those, until you gone.
Man, let me say this, man.
And so that's important, man.
To that story about Tariq telling about Tariq, and I was pushing Joaquin on Kari because I wanted him to shut people up, because listen, when I have 3 sons, right? Whatever they got going on is family business.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Whatever they got going on is family business. Right? Now, depending on what the family business is and what's going on, my role could be different. But I'm always there to support the family business.
Absolutely.
Check that.
So if I ain't taking the package, I get the phone if your phone's ringing.
Right.
It don't matter what position I play.
Right.
Because I'm in the business of the family.
There you go.
So if I'm in the business of the family, none of y'all been linemen in football before, right? You might have been a lineman in Little League.
Little League. Yeah, Little League.
Michael Vick was offensive tackle.
I was a tackle.
Oh, you was a tackle.
71.
Yeah, blind side.
Yeah.
Holding the blind side down.
Blocking for Sean White.
Well, I was a lineman. I was a lineman, and you know, they got that thing called gassers, right? When you running the over and back 50. John know the gassers.
Yeah.
After you run about 3 gassers, you really questioning life. 3 or 4, right? And so the lineman, you know, big guy, running. You got 30 seconds left to finish this last one. I'm barely touching the first line. I got to come back 50 yards. Y'all go get him if y'all was real teammates. How your teammate out there and y'all standing back here done and you don't go get him?
Yeah.
I don't care if you finish.
Yeah.
What about your family?
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Who gonna go get him? The package need to be done.
Yeah.
He needs somebody to sit with him and help him through this meeting that he about to have so I can coach him a little bit. He asked me that.
Yeah.
I'm showing him something. I think he might be going wrong. I'm going to be a little stronger and direct with him. But he going to be all right because he know if I'm that direct, there's something going on that I see.
Yeah.
So my advocation morphs and changes, but 100% of the time, it's about the business of the family, and I'm not making apologies for it. Am I going to, if you're doing something unethical, just like God, or illegal, we talked about God,
Yeah.
then I'm the police. I'm in support of you getting punished.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I love you. But I will never defend you for being wrong.
No, I can't do that. I can't.
You
do
know
that.
what I'm saying? Because if the truth will set you free, I can't enslave you by helping you to believe in a lie.
That's right. John, you was gonna say
Oh,
something?
no, I was just thinking, like I said, again, advocates, while not creating an entitled person, right?
Yeah.
While keeping them accountable. And the greatest thing they can do is not only when they see us become an advocate, up for others as well, right? Not just our lady, our wife, not just them. It could be a complete stranger. You know, when they see that you stand up and advocate for what's right, even though I might not even know this person.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's important too.
And I might not even like this person, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And then I'm gonna stand up and say something, you know. And when they see that, that's what's up. And then the next thing is, and when you see them as a child or a young adult advocating for someone else, that's when you know.
You gotta
that's
celebrate it too.
Yeah,
right?
you know,
That's when you got through to him.
I got a little story to go along with that, seeing it outside of the house. And how I said earlier, more things are caught than taught. I remember I had this policy that when I'm driving, if I'm the first car in line, if there's a person on that intersection wanting money, I will give them money every time.
What if you're the second person in line?
They don't get no money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't get no money.
All right.
I'm driving around all day.
That car better make a right.
Exactly. But that's just my policy. You know, when I'm the first car in line, they get money. And so I remember one day I pulled up to the light and I was the first car. There was a dude on the corner and I was just sitting at the light. And Car was in the passenger seat. And he was like, "Dad." I'm like, "What?" He was like, "You didn't get a guy no money." I said, "Oh, I totally forgot." And I gave the dude the money. And so just in that moment, I realized, yo, he is paying attention.
Yes, wow.
He is totally paying attention. And not only that, he now sees the value in me doing it because that's why he was my reminder. You know what I mean? And so to your point, you know, not just in this family, they see it outside as well.
That is not,
see
that's
your
not
willingness
exclusive
to do
to the
it.
family.
Developing global citizens.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A little funny story, man. We grew up. Well, my kids grew up in a real nice neighborhood, nice park, got the pool and basketball court.
Yeah.
And we at the court having a good time, shooting ball, playing around or whatever. I said, you know what? Let me take them to a park. about 10, 15 minutes away, right?
Well, it ain't so nice.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, I'm the only parent per 20 kids. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody watching the kids. You know, so they out there playing.
They got water bottles out there.
So they was playing basketball. Kids like, ninja, motherfucker. Ninja. You know, they looking at me. I'm like, hey, play ball. Hey, they talking. Would you play ball? You know what I mean? So that was a way, hey, go handle it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna let kids jump you.
Just let it be.
Physical. Yeah, let it be. Work your way through that. Don't be afraid. Love your folks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then sometimes they would see me if something go real sideways. I'm like, come on, young fella. It's like, you know, but I'll stay out of it, right? So fast forward, Isaiah was in Colombia, right? And he was doing the touristy thing. And they was like, hey, these people gonna come ask for money, but the kids really working for the cartels and stay away from them, don't give them no money, this, that, the other, right? And they was like, okay. Next thing you know, he was down on the basketball court. He had went down there with the kid, right? And was shooting around with the kids like they thought he was an NBA star, right? Yeah. But he wasn't afraid of them. He was showing them some love, and he still gave them a couple $.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it wasn't out of fear.
And he advocated for them,
right?
And taught that man a lesson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's what we need. That's what we want, is to advocate for our children and support them, but teaching them the value of being right and truth.
And make sure that we looking for the blessing inside the lesson. You know, once you learn the lesson, start to look for the blessing. And when you do that, that's how we get better as individuals, as a family, as a community, as a country, as a state, everything. Like, we have to take the responsibility on ourselves. You know, we all done heard the saying, you know, be the change you wish to see in the world.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. You know, be the change you wish to see. And let me see how this go. And you're never gonna be wrong doing what's right. I just don't believe that. Right. You know what I mean? And because even if you do what's right, you can stand on it. If it don't work out however you think it should work out, you got to do what's right and stand on it. And sometimes there may be some negative consequences for doing what's right, but you got to be able to stand on that. You know, and that's why it don't matter. I ain't got no problem engaging with somebody or having a conversation with somebody, because I know I don't have no slick agenda. I ain't trying to get over on nobody. I ain't trying to take advantage of nobody. So if you wanna talk about something, we can talk about it. I'm cool with it. I don't have no problem confronting anybody or any of that.
And you know what?
It's
I
cool.
have no problem confronting the truth if it pains me.
Right.
Yeah.
Most important.
You should be mature enough.
Yeah.
It's the B2M crew, broadcasting from Fayetteville, Georgia. Another episode from 5 brothers who have been friends for over 40 years, have 12 sons among us, and just sharing some of our conversation with you into brotherhood, fatherhood, and parenting. Advocate to elevate, advocate to liberate.
Come on now.
We're at Win Production Studios in Fayetteville, Georgia, broadcasting to you. Joaquin, you got something to take us out with?
In the words of the great Frederick Douglass, it is easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. Peace.
Yeah.
And I won't stop until I'm winning. I'ma show them how true and independent get it. Whole game changed by the time I finish with it. We about to get this business handled in a minute. And I won't stop until I'm winning. They don't want me in the office 'cause I